One thing you might want to do in newsletters sometimes is that you might want to have a box that has text in it that kind of stays in a particular position or that you want to highlight in some way. Sometimes this might be, for example, a box where you list important dates for the next 2 weeks, or it might be a list of contact information or birthdays coming up or whatever, but you want a separate little box that maybe it's in the same position every time so that it's noticeable and people know to look there and it's highlighted in some way. And what you do in Microsoft Word is that you can add a text box to a document. That's what it's called, a text box. So here we have our newsletter, and I want to add a text box down here in this lower right corner. I want to put contact information so that the parents will know how to get in touch with people. So on my newsletter, the first thing I do, I go to Insert, and then I have here Text Box. It says Draw Text Box. And so then notice my cursor changes shape, and all I do is I just draw a box. Okay. Now it's kind of moved around a little bit, so let's see, I'm going to zoom out so I can see a whole page. But now I can take this box and I can just kind of drag it to where I want it to go. Let's say that I want it here, this lower right corner. Okay, so I just dragged it down there. You notice that the rest of the text moved around it. So that's very helpful too. So now I've got my text box. That's where it's going to be, but it's just a plain empty box right now. So I want to make it more noticeable. Well, when I have this highlighted, there's a menu item that pops up here called Shape Format. So one thing I can do, I've got Shape Fill. It is what can I put a color inside that box. So let's say I want a kind of a light gold color. I'll just click that, and now it's filled with that color. I also want a border around it. Here's an icon for borders. It's called the Shape Outline. So I can click that. I can pick out a color. Let's make it this purple here. And I kind of rearranged where it is. So let's put it back here where I want it. But that purple isn't very noticeable because the line is pretty thin. So I go down here again on that outline. I can go to Weight. I'm going to look here at what it says, More Lines. And I have over here now some options. Down here is the line. I have a solid line. It has width 0.75 point. Let's make that a lot thicker. Okay, now you see it's getting thicker here. I can even have a compound line where maybe I have 2 lines, or I can have that little thing there with 3 lines. If I make my page bigger, now you see how I've got, it's a bit more decorative there. So that's how you can get that. So now I need just to add text inside it. So I click inside and I can start typing. We'll say contact information. And I can go here. I can change the font and size of everything in here. So I want to make this a bit bigger so it's more noticeable. So we'll say contact information. And my home phone. I'm sure you would give this to your parents. We could also give them Mr. Lee's home phone. 770-555-2121. We could give them Mr. Goff's cell phone because they might want to contact him all kinds of time during the day. So we'll say his cell phone is 770-555-1111. and whatever. Okay, so now I've got this box here with the contact information, and if I zoom out, now you can see what that looks like on the page. I've got a box down here. I can resize it if I need to. I can shrink it down, and so then I have that box, and it's going to be there on that page. All the rest of the text that I put in here will flow around it. But it just kind of stays put. And if I want to make sure it stays put, go back up here to Shape Format, and over here where it says Arrange, and I go to Position. Position, I want it to be in this lower right corner. So I click there, and that's going to kind of keep it there. And I can even lock it so that it's going to stay there no matter what else I put in. It's going to stay in that position. So that's how you add a text box to a document.